Brother, let me tell you something powerful right now. You will never step into the life you were created to live until you conquer the one thing holding you back, your lack of discipline. Discipline is not a punishment. It's not a restriction. Discipline is the divine passport to your destiny. You've been praying for increase, but God isn't going to bless you with something you don't have the structure to sustain. You want the promise, but you're neglecting the process. And discipline is the process. See, too many people are waiting for motivation to show up like it's a ride share. Motivation is emotional, it's temporary, it's unreliable. But discipline, that's character. That's consistency. That's commitment even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is doing what you said you'd do long after the mood you set it in has left. Discipline is the foundation upon which every lasting success is built. It is not something you adopt only when it's convenient. It's something you embrace daily, regardless of how you feel. Discipline is the consistent application of intentional behavior that aligns with your higher purpose. Without it, your dreams remain ideas, your goals stay as talk, and your potential is left untapped. When you commit to discipline, you begin to bridge the gap between who you are and who you were created to be. Many people live with the illusion that destiny is a matter of chance, that somehow at the right moment in the right season everything will align. But destiny does not arrive uninvited. It must be prepared for. And preparation always demands discipline. You cannot walk into a future you have not disciplined yourself to handle. Elevation without discipline is dangerous. It creates instability. Discipline creates the strength required to carry the weight of your assignment. Discipline teaches you patience. In a culture obsessed with instant gratification, discipline slows you down and forces you to build step by step. It develops the ability to delay rewards in pursuit of something more permanent. You may not see the results today or even tomorrow, but discipline says, I will keep going. Because destiny isn't a moment, it's a lifetime of moments stacked together through consistent, purposeful action. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you align yourself with the version of you that is capable of handling what you've been praying for. You don't need a breakthrough as much as you need to become the person who can maintain the breakthrough. That version of you is forged in the fires of discipline. Early mornings, hard decisions, quiet study, relentless focus. Destiny doesn't wait for the undisciplined to catch up. It shows up when you're already in motion. People often ask, what's the secret to success? The truth is, there's no secret. There's structure. And structure requires discipline. If you're not disciplined in how you use your time, how you manage your mind, and how you guard your energy, you will miss your assignment. The doorway to destiny is not marked by ease. It's marked by responsibility. Discipline is what teaches you to carry that responsibility with grace and strength. Discipline also protects your priorities. It allows you to say no when you need to, even if it costs you popularity. It empowers you to choose alignment over approval, consistency over chaos. When you are disciplined, you don't just react to life, you respond with intention. That intention sets a path forward that builds momentum, and when momentum is partnered with vision, destiny begins to unfold. There's a version of you that only discipline can unlock. A more focused, more powerful, more effective version of yourself that is buried under distraction, laziness, and excuses. Discipline removes what doesn't belong. It strips away the excess so that only excellence remains. You can't carry destiny while also carrying everything that's weighing you down. Discipline is the scalpel that cuts away what's unnecessary so you can move forward freely. When you make discipline a lifestyle, it stops being something you have to force. It becomes something you flow in. You start to crave the order. You start to value the results. You begin to see the fruit of your focus. The longer you walk in discipline, the more naturally it becomes part of your identity. And identity fuels behavior. So when discipline becomes who you are, consistency becomes what you do. Discipline sharpens your discernment. You begin to distinguish what's urgent from what's important. You stop chasing every opportunity and start choosing the right ones. You understand that not everything good is from God and not everything offered is for you. Discipline tunes your spirit to recognize when to move and when to be still, when to speak and when to listen, when to act, and when to wait. There is no excellence without discipline. Anyone can be inspired. Anyone can be excited for a day, but what separates leaders from followers, visionaries from dreamers, producers from consumers is discipline. Discipline is not loud. It doesn't always look glamorous, but it produces results that speak louder than any words. When you live with discipline, your life begins to speak for you. Your fruit becomes your testimony. Discipline eliminates the need for constant motivation. You don't need someone to hype you up when you've trained yourself to show up. Discipline says, even if I don't feel it, I'll do it. Even if no one is watching, I'll keep going. Even if there's no applause, I'll stay committed. That kind of mindset becomes magnetic. It attracts provision, partnerships, and divine favor because heaven honors order. Every habit you form is either building your destiny or breaking it down. Discipline is what determines which direction you're going. Are your daily habits preparing you for the next level? Are your choices making room for your calling, or are they keeping you in cycles of stagnation? The future you want is not built in a moment. It's built in a disciplined lifestyle, one decision at a time. Discipline is the evidence of belief. If you truly believe in the vision, the mission, the calling, then you'll live like it. You'll plan your day around it. You'll sacrifice for it. You'll fight distractions for it. You won't just talk about it. You'll structure your life to protect it. Faith without discipline is fantasy. You can't believe for a future you're not willing to prepare for. There are some doors that only open for the discipline. There are some blessings that require maturity, and maturity is the fruit of discipline. Destiny will never give itself fully to someone who treats it casually. You can't expect to reign in places you haven't trained for. Discipline is the training ground for the throne room. You won't be trusted with more until you're faithful with what's already in your hand. Discipline is also a form of honor. When you discipline yourself, you honor your calling, your creator, and your future. You say, I take this seriously. I won't waste what I've been given. That kind of honor sets you apart. It makes you a good steward. And stewardship always precedes elevation. When you manage what's small with discipline, you qualify for what's great. People may not see your private discipline, but they'll see your public results. They may not know the price you paid in silence, but they'll recognize the power you carry in presence. Discipline works in the dark before it shines in the light. It's the hidden investment that produces visible influence. While others are distracted, discipline keeps you focused and faithful. You will be tempted to quit. There will be days where everything in you wants to give in. But discipline doesn't care how you feel, it cares how you finish. Emotion is a wave, discipline is an anchor. When storms come, discipline holds you steady. When the wind blows, discipline keeps you grounded. Destiny is not for the emotionally unstable, it's for those anchored in purpose. And when you embrace discipline long enough, it becomes your lifestyle, not a season, not a sprint, but a rhythm of living. That rhythm moves you forward when others get stuck. It pushes you through dry seasons and prepares you for your harvest. And though it may be difficult, though it may be uncomfortable, discipline will always lead you to the place you were designed to dwell. And motivation is a spark. It ignites quickly, burns bright, but too often fizzles out before the work is done. It's emotional, fleeting, and dependent on external circumstances. One inspiring video, one powerful quote, one exciting conversation can fill you with energy for a moment. But once the emotions settle and the hype fades, what are you left with? The truth is, motivation may help you start the race, but it will never carry you to the finish line. That job belongs to discipline. There's a reason most people start strong and quit early. They confuse excitement with commitment. They believe that if they feel good today, that feeling will last tomorrow. But motivation doesn't last. It wasn't designed to. That's why disciplined people succeed where motivated people stall. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It doesn't wait for inspiration. It just executes repeatedly, regardless of the mood or the moment, because discipline is built on decisions, not feelings. Discipline has roots where motivation only has wings. Wings may lift you for a moment, but roots anchor you for a lifetime. Motivation may get you moving, but discipline tells you where to go, when to go, and why it matters. It creates structure, boundaries, and systems that carry you through seasons when motivation is nowhere to be found. Because in real life, motivation isn't always available, but discipline can be. Too many people try to build a future on a feeling. They wait to feel like it before they take action. But high achievers don't wait to feel ready. They prepare themselves to be ready every day. They've trained their minds to act regardless of emotion, and that training doesn't come from watching motivational clips. It comes from the quiet, unseen, repetitive work of doing the hard things over and over until it becomes automatic. If you rely on motivation, you'll find yourself starting and stopping over and over again. You'll go through emotional highs and lows that steal your consistency. You'll begin projects and never finish. You'll talk about dreams more than you build them. Because motivation isn't meant to sustain you, it's only meant to introduce you to the path. But discipline is what teaches you how to walk it one step at a time, no matter the weather. Motivation screams loudly at the start line, but it grows silent in the middle, and it's the middle, the messy, tiring, uncertain middle, where most people give up. That's why you need something stronger than excitement. You need a reason, a routine, and a rule of action that doesn't change when your mood does. Discipline creates consistency in chaos. It gives you the ability to show up when most people stay home, to press forward when most pull back. There will be days when nothing inspires you, days when the goal feels far and the grind feels heavy. In those moments, discipline becomes your best friend. It tells you, do it anyway. It reminds you of your commitment when your feelings try to talk you out of it. Discipline doesn't argue with emotions, it overrides them. It's the internal system that keeps your vision alive when everything external tells you to quit. Motivation is loud, discipline is quiet. Motivation posts on social media. Discipline works in silence. Motivation gets praise for intentions. Discipline produces results through execution. You can be inspired and still be undisciplined. You can be hyped and still be inconsistent. But when you become disciplined, even on your worst days, you make progress, because discipline doesn't need ideal conditions, it just needs a decision. When you wake up tired, discipline gets you moving. When the excitement wears off, discipline pushes you to follow through. When no one is cheering, discipline reminds you that you're still responsible for your results. It builds habits that serve you, habits that protect you, habits that grow you. Motivation wants to feel good. Discipline wants to do good, regardless of how it feels. Discipline is a mindset you train. It's a muscle you build. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And over time, what once required effort becomes automatic. You no longer have to fight with yourself to show up. You just do. Because discipline has become your default setting, not your emergency solution. You don't have to wait to get in the zone. You create the zone through your decision. The problem with motivation is that it depends on outside influence, but outside influence is unreliable. Discipline, on the other hand, is an inside job. It's not based on what happens around you, it's based on the standard you set within you. And when that standard is non-negotiable, your progress becomes inevitable. Not because it's easy, but because you've removed the option to quit. Motivated people talk about goals. Disciplined people track their goals. They measure progress. They hold themselves accountable. They create systems that don't need emotion to function. They don't depend on being in the mood. They operate from their mission. When motivation is nowhere to be found, discipline says, let's keep going, and that consistency compounds into success. Discipline doesn't mean you always want to do it. It means you've decided it will get done. It means you've removed your feelings from the equation and put your future at the forefront. It means you've set a standard that isn't up for debate. That kind of commitment creates momentum. And momentum fueled by discipline will take you places motivation never could. The people who build extraordinary lives aren't more motivated than everyone else. They've simply trained themselves to be disciplined long after the feeling is gone. They've made their vision so clear, their habits so locked in, that discipline becomes the autopilot that takes over when motivation disappears. And make no mistake, it will disappear often. But with discipline, it doesn't matter. Every time you act without feeling like it, you reinforce a new identity. You say to yourself, this is who I am now. That's how transformation happens, not in the exciting moments, but in the mundane ones, in the quiet sacrifice, in the daily decision to show up when no one else does. Discipline carves out the path that motivation only points to. It's the road less traveled, but it's the only one that leads to lasting results. The goal is not to feel inspired every day. That's not realistic. The goal is to become the kind of person who executes with or without inspiration. The person who does the work because it's who they are, not because they're in the mood. The person whose discipline speaks louder than their intentions. That kind of person doesn't just succeed, they sustain success over time. Discipline may not be glamorous, but it is transformational. It creates internal order. It builds mental toughness. It clarifies priorities and eliminates distractions. It makes you dangerous in the best way possible, focused, consistent, and committed to a purpose bigger than your comfort. Motivation may catch people's attention, but discipline will keep it. And when others fall off, the discipline keeps rising. Every breakthrough that looks sudden is the result of hidden discipline. Every achievement that seems overnight is backed by years of private consistency. Discipline is what no one sees, but everyone feels. It's the difference between potential and fulfillment, between intention and impact, between wishing and winning. While the world chases motivation, the wise master discipline. Success isn't some mystical force reserved for a chosen few. It's not a matter of luck, chance, or being in the right place at the right time. Success is a system, a set of repeatable actions governed by principle, not personality. It doesn't care about your background, your past, or your excuses. It responds to patterns, consistency, and structure. It shows up for those who are willing to follow the process, even when they don't feel like it. Many people spend their lives searching for the next secret, hoping that one magical insight, one new strategy, or one powerful mentor will unlock their breakthrough. But the truth is, most people don't need a new secret. They need to master the basics they've been avoiding. Success doesn't hide. It waits patiently for you to align your habits with your goals, your mindset with your mission, and your actions with your assignment. Systems bring stability to chaos. When you build systems into your life, systems for productivity, systems for discipline, systems for growth, you eliminate the guesswork. You take control of your time, your energy, and your output. A system doesn't care how motivated you are. It functions because it's built to work, not because you feel like working. And when your life is guided by systems, your results stop fluctuating. People often confuse activity with productivity. They're busy but not building. They're moving but not progressing. A system brings structure to your energy. It ensures that your efforts are actually moving you toward your goal. Without a system, even your best intentions lead to exhaustion, not elevation. With a system, even small efforts compound into something significant over time. Success leaves clues. And those clues are always found in the systems that successful people follow. It's not about copying their personality. It's about studying their process. How do they plan their days? How do they protect their focus? How do they guard their time? Success is not an emotional high. It's a strategic outcome. If you want the outcome, you need to install the systems that create it. Consistency is the child of systems. You can't be consistent without structure. Willpower may carry you for a day, but systems will carry you for a decade. When you wake up with a system in place, you don't have to think about what to do, you execute. That execution builds momentum. And momentum, when driven by a system, becomes unstoppable. You stop starting over and start compounding forward. Systems also expose weaknesses. They show you what's working and what's wasting your time. Without systems, you guess With systems, you measure. What gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed improves. You don't need to wonder if you're growing. You'll know. Because a system tracks progress, eliminates confusion, and produces clarity around your next steps. Most people pray for results they don't have the discipline to support. They want the harvest without planting the seeds. But a system forces you to sow consistently. It puts pressure on your process, and that pressure reveals your true commitment. If you can't follow a system, you're not serious about success. You're only flirting with it. True commitment is revealed in how you manage repetition. Repetition is where transformation happens. Doing something once doesn't make you successful. Doing it until it becomes second nature does. Systems create environments where repetition thrives. They take the guesswork out of discipline. You don't have to negotiate with yourself every day. You just follow the plan. And following the plan builds confidence, not in hype, but in your own ability to produce results. Success isn't a moment, it's a pattern. It's not found in one big decision, but in thousands of small ones made with precision. A system teaches you to master those small decisions. It guides your behavior, organizes your priorities, and filters your focus. It's the framework that allows your vision to function. Without it, even the greatest dreams fall apart in the face of daily distraction. As a system brings accountability, it doesn't care about your excuses. It measures output, not intentions. And that accountability is what most people run from, because systems expose the gap between what you say you want and what you're actually willing to do. They confront your inconsistency. They challenge your comfort. But in that confrontation lies your growth. You don't rise to the level of your ambition, you fall to the level of your system. You can set the biggest goals in the world, but without a system to support them, they'll collapse under pressure. Goals give you direction. Systems give you traction. One tells you where you want to go. The other ensures you actually get there. And without traction, vision is just imagination. Greatness is built, not found. It's built one system at a time, one habit at a time, one decision at a time. If you want to master your life, master your systems. Build habits that reflect your goals. Create routines that reflect your values. Design environments that force focus and reduce friction. Every piece of your system should push you toward purpose. Systems remove the emotion from progress. They don't care if you're tired. They don't care if it's raining. They don't care if no one else believes in you. They function because they're designed to, not because you're in the mood. That reliability is what builds resilience. When your system is strong, your excuses get weaker. When your system is disciplined, your distractions lose power. Systems are not glamorous. They don't get celebrated like vision does, but they produce what vision only promises. Vision says what could be. Systems make it real. They translate abstract goals into tangible outcomes. They turn ideas into impact. And impact is always the result of intentional structure. No one stumbles into success. They build it through systems that outlast emotion and outwork obstacles. Success is sustainable when it's system-driven. Emotion-driven success crashes when the feeling fades. But when success is built on a system, it keeps growing. Even when life gets hard, even when motivation disappears, even when everything around you feels uncertain, because the system doesn't stop working just because you're uncomfortable. In fact, it becomes even more valuable in discomfort. The difference between high performers and inconsistent dreamers is not intelligence, it's systemization. High performers don't rely on memory. They don't operate on reaction. They operate on design. Their systems are intentional, disciplined, and refined. They know that if they follow the system, results will follow. That kind of confidence doesn't come from hype, it comes from structure. The longer you work a system, the more your life begins to organize itself around it. your energy, your focus, your schedule, all of it begins to align with your priorities. Chaos gets replaced with clarity. Confusion gets replaced with confidence. And eventually what once felt hard because who you are, not because of a secret, but because of a you either master discipline or you live with regret. That's the truth most people avoid because it demands a choice, an uncomfortable, unavoidable choice. Discipline is painful, but it's a pain with purpose. Regret is also painful, but it's a pain that lingers without redemption. Every decision you make is either leading you closer to the person you were created to be or slowly burying that person under excuses, distractions, and delay. The distance between your current life and your potential life is measured in discipline. Every day, you wake up with two voices competing for control, one pushing you toward growth, the other pulling you into comfort. Discipline chooses growth, regret chooses comfort. One says, get up, the other says, you've got time. One builds your future, the other borrows from it. And every time you ignore the pull of discipline, you are making a silent agreement with regret. The longer you ignore that agreement, the louder regret becomes. Discipline is the decision to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. It's getting up before the sun, putting in the reps, making the call, writing the page, saying no to what's easy so you can say yes to what's necessary. Discipline isn't about punishment, it's about purpose. It's the daily commitment to your higher calling, not your lower cravings. And that commitment separates the fulfilled from the frustrated. People who succeed in life don't always love the process. They simply refuse to negotiate with it. They understand that the pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret is permanent. Miss one workout and you might not feel it. But miss a month, miss a year, that's when regret shows up. Quiet at first, then loud. Regret never announces itself early. It waits until the opportunity is gone, then it speaks in echoes. What? Why didn't you? If only. Regret doesn't attack all at once. It's subtle. It creeps in through the tiny compromises, 5 more minutes of sleep, skipping that task you said you'd do, putting off the work until tomorrow. Discipline is built in those moments, not in grand gestures, but in the invisible battles you fight when no one is watching. Either you win those battles or regret does, and the scoreboard doesn't lie. Knowledge, you don't become disciplined by accident. It's intentional, it's cultivated, and it's tested in the mundane, not just the monumental. Most people are waiting for a dramatic wake-up call to change their lives. But by the time that call comes, it's often too late. Discipline is the quiet decision to answer now, before the crisis, before the breakdown, before regret becomes the only thing you have left to hold. Discipline teaches you how to delay gratification. It reminds you that everything worthwhile is on the other side of effort. Regret, on the other hand, promises you ease right now and makes you pay later. But that cost always comes, always. You either pay the price of discipline daily or you pay the compound interest of regret for years. One builds you, the other breaks you. Living with discipline means living with focus. It means choosing your future over your feelings. Feelings are fickle. They change with the weather, with your energy, with your mood. But your future, that's fixed unless you sabotage it. Discipline keeps you grounded when feelings try to throw you off course. It keeps you moving when motivation disappears. It reminds you that feelings are passengers, not drivers. Regret is always born from abandoned responsibility. It's what's left behind when you ignore the call to grow. People don't regret failing. They regret not trying, not starting, not committing. They regret letting fear win. They regret knowing deep down they could have done more, been more, lived more. And that kind of regret is heavy. It doesn't fade. It festers. Because deep down, you always know when you chose the easy road over the right one. Discipline is the daily choice to prove to yourself that you're stronger than your excuses. It builds identity. It creates a version of you that you can respect. The kind of person who shows up not because life is easy, but because purpose is non-negotiable. Regret erodes that identity. It leaves you with doubt, shame, and insecurity. It whispers, you gave up, you gave in. Discipline whispers something else entirely. You kept going. People talk about potential like it's enough, but potential without discipline is wasted energy. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you were created to be. It takes your vision, makes it real. It transforms dreams into goals and goals into results. Potential is what you could do. Discipline is what you actually do. And the difference between those two is what determines whether you experience purpose or regret. You don't control everything in life, but you do control your discipline. You control how often you show up, how hard you work, how focused you stay. Discipline is your responsibility, not your circumstance. And when you take full ownership of it, life changes. Because suddenly you're not waiting for success, you're becoming someone who attracts it, not by chance, but by character. Discipline creates freedom. That sounds like a paradox, but it's the truth. When you master discipline, you gain control of your time, your thoughts, your actions. You're no longer a slave to distractions or bad habits. You're no longer owned by every emotion or desire. You live on purpose with intention. Regret is the opposite. It's a prison. It binds you to the past and locks you out of your potential. Every time you practice discipline, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. Those votes add up over time. They create momentum, identity, and results. But every time you avoid the work, every time you take the easy way out, you cast a vote for regret. You're building something either way. The question is, are you building a future or are you building a list of regrets? Discipline forces you to face your weaknesses. It exposes the gap between what you say and what you do. That exposure is uncomfortable, but it's necessary because once you see the gap, you can close it. Regret avoids the truth. It covers it with blame, denial, and delay. It tells you stories to make you feel better while quietly stealing the life you could have lived. The more you delay discipline, the harder it becomes to begin. Procrastination isn't just a habit, it's a pathway to regret. Every day you put off the work is a day you push back the reward. Eventually you run out of time. Discipline says, do it now. Regret says, you should done it then. One moves you forward, the other keeps you stuck in reverse, looking back on what could have been. Discipline is not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. It's showing up when it's inconvenient. It's doing the work when you're tired. It's staying true to your values when shortcuts look tempting. Regret is not caused by failure, it's caused by inconsistency. It's caused by giving in to temporary pleasure and missing permanent purpose. That's a trade. You'll always lose. The truth is, everyone sacrifices something. You either sacrifice comfort now to build a better life, or you sacrifice your potential later because you chose comfort. There is no third option. One sacrifice leads to pride, confidence, and growth. The other leads to guilt, stagnation, and silence. You choose. Not once, but daily with your actions, your decisions, and your discipline. Delayed discipline is disobedience. It's not just a matter of poor timing, it's rebellion against what you already know to do. When you delay what's right, you're not being cautious, you're being careless with your calling. There's a cost to hesitation that most people never calculate. They think they're just buying time, but they're actually selling their future. Every delay creates distance between who you are and who you're meant to become. When you feel the nudge to take action, that moment is divine. It's an instruction disguised as an impulse. And the longer you wait to obey that instruction, the harder it becomes to follow through. That's because delayed discipline doesn't just weaken your resolve, it reshapes your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who hesitates, someone who stalls, someone who lets resistance win. That subtle shift erodes your self-respect long before it wrecks your results. Obedience has a window. It's a window of opportunity where alignment, clarity, and conviction come together. But that window doesn't stay open forever. Discipline moves through that window. Delay lets it slam shut. And once it's closed, all you're left with is the echo of what could have been. That's the quiet agony most people live with. Not the pain of failure, but the torment of abandoned obedience. Discipline is not just about what you do, it's about when you do it. There is power in immediate obedience. When you act on what you know is right, you reinforce authority in your own life. You prove to yourself that your standards are stronger than your excuses. But when you delay, you hand the microphone to doubt. And doubt never whispers, it shouts. It tells you to wait, to reconsider, to retreat. The longer you delay discipline, the louder the resistance becomes. What was once a simple step now feels like a mountain. What was once a clear decision now feels like confusion. That's not because the task changed. It's because your disobedience gave resistance room to grow. Delayed discipline inflates the difficulty, distorts the perspective, and drains the passion. People think discipline is about control. It's not. It's about alignment. It's about bringing your behavior into agreement with your purpose. When you delay that alignment, you create tension. That tension shows up as stress, frustration, and even shame, because deep down, you know you're out of order. And nothing functions well out of order. Not your habits, not your mindset, not your life. Immediate obedience brings clarity. Delayed discipline breeds confusion. When you act quickly on what you know you should do, you eliminate the space for doubt to grow. But when you delay, you give that space to fear, insecurity, and distractions. Suddenly, you're questioning the very thing you were once certain about. That's the enemy of progress, not failure, but forfeiting the moment. You can't walk in full authority while operating in partial obedience. Half-done discipline is still disobedience. And delay is the disguise we use to make our disobedience sound wise. We say, I need more time, when what we really mean is, I don't want to pay the price. But purpose has a price. And discipline is the down payment. Delay doesn't reduce that cost, it multiplies it. Your destiny doesn't wait for you to get ready, it responds to your movement. Discipline is the key that unlocks doors, but only when it's used on time. Try using that key too late and the door will be locked. Try using it too early and you'll find yourself unprepared. But delay is worse than both, because it means you had the key, you had the time, and you still didn't move. Disobedience through delay shows up in your daily habits. It's not just in the big life decisions, it's in the small things. Waking up late, skipping the workout, avoiding the hard conversation, ignoring the budget, putting off the project. Each act of delay seems harmless in isolation, but collectively, they dismantle your discipline. And when discipline goes, so does direction. Discipline is your declaration that your future matters more than your feelings. When you delay that declaration, you empower your emotions to take control. You start living by impulse instead of instruction. It's a dangerous place to be because impulses are unstable, but instruction is solid. Discipline responds to instruction. Disobedience reacts to impulse. Your purpose requires a disciplined version of you. The undisciplined version will sabotage every opportunity, waste every season, and blame every obstacle. That's why delayed discipline isn't neutral, it's destructive. It doesn't just hold you back, it works against you. It creates habits of avoidance and patterns of passivity, and those patterns eventually become permanent. When you consistently delay discipline, you teach your mind to distrust your own voice. You tell yourself what to do, but don't follow through. Over time, you lose internal credibility. You no longer believe your own commitments. That's not just a mindset issue, it's a character issue. And until you fix it, your potential will stay paralyzed by your own inconsistency. Discipline is a muscle. Delay is atrophy. The more you delay, the weaker your discipline becomes. You stop stretching yourself. You stop challenging yourself. And before long, even the smallest acts of discipline feel overwhelming. You don't just lose strength, you lose confidence. And that loss doesn't happen overnight. It happens one delayed decision at a time. Every time you feel the urge to delay, you're standing at a crossroads. One path leads to mastery, the other to mediocrity. You don't need another plan, another mentor, or another miracle. You need to do what you already know you should. That's discipline. It's not waiting for perfect conditions, it's creating results in imperfect ones. And that power lies in your prompt obedience. The discipline you delay today becomes the regret you carry tomorrow. You may not see it now, but it's accumulating. The book unwritten, the business unstarted, the body uncared for, the vision untended, all of it piles up. Delay becomes disappointment, and disappointment becomes disillusionment. You start believing you're not capable when the truth is you just didn't commit. You weren't designed to live in delay. You were created to act, to build, to move. Discipline isn't optional, it's essential. Every excuse is a barrier to becoming who you were made to be. And the moment you stop negotiating with delay, your life begins to accelerate because obedience always brings acceleration. But delayed obedience, no matter how well justified, only leads to stagnation. Obedience is not about what you feel, it's about what you're assigned to do. When you delay that assignment, you delay your advancement. You might still move, but you won't progress. Because true movement requires alignment, and alignment is powered by discipline. It's a decision to say yes, not later, but now. To stop postponing purpose, to stop excusing laziness, to stop tolerating delay. Your life won't change until your habits do. No matter how much you pray, plan, or wish for a new life, it all comes down to what you consistently do. Habits are the silent architects of your reality. They are the small daily decisions that construct the future you're walking into. You don't need a new year, a new relationship, or a new opportunity to change your life. You need new habits. Because what you repeatedly do, you eventually become. Every goal you set is only as strong as the habits that support it. You can write a vision board, declare affirmations, and speak big dreams, but if your habits don't align with that vision, you're lying to yourself. Goals set direction, but habits determine destination. You can want to be fit, but if your habit is overeating and undermoving, your life will reflect your actions, not your intention. You can want financial freedom, but if your habit is impulsive spending, your bank account will tell the truth. Your words won't. Most people overestimate the power of motivation and underestimate the power of habits. Motivation is emotional, habits are structural. Motivation is loud, habits are quiet. Motivation gets you started, but habits keep you going when motivation dies out. And it always dies out. Your life will never rise higher than the systems you have in place. You don't need more hype. You need more discipline. Habits don't change overnight, but they do change outcomes over time. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. One workout won't transform your body, but daily discipline will. One investment won't make you wealthy, but consistent financial habits will. 1 hour of focus won't build your dream, but turning that hour into a habit can. Small hinges swing big doors. It's the little things done regularly that make the biggest difference. Your habits are either serving your purpose or sabotaging it. There is no neutral ground. You're either building momentum toward your goals or you're reinforcing the behaviors that keep you stuck. Your habits tell the truth about what you truly value. You may say you value health, growth, or success, but if your habits reveal apathy, procrastination, or distraction, then it's time for a reality check. People love to dream about transformation, but they avoid the systems that require it. That's because changing habits requires changing identity. You have to stop identifying as a person who tries and start identifying as someone who does, someone who trains, someone who builds, someone who finishes. Every new habit is an invitation to become a new version of yourself. And the old version will resist that change with everything it has. Excuses are the enemies of transformation, and they are often rooted in habitual thinking. I don't have time is a habit. I'm too tired is a habit. I'll start tomorrow is a habit. And the problem is that those habits are comfortable. They don't demand anything from you, but comfort is a trap. It keeps you familiar with failure while keeping you far from fulfillment. To build new habits, you must be willing to break old excuses. Habits are formed by repetition and reinforced by identity. The more you do something, the more you see yourself as the kind of person who does it. And the more you see yourself that way, the harder it is to stop. That can work for you or against you. If you consistently avoid responsibility, you start seeing yourself as someone who can't be trusted with it. But if you consistently show up, push through, and follow through, you begin to believe you're unstoppable. Discipline is the doorway to better habits. It's the decision to do what's right, even when it's not easy. You'll never drift into greatness. You'll never stumble into success. You have to choose the actions that shape the outcome. It won't feel good at first. Change rarely does, but that discomfort is a sign that something inside you is growing. Growth never comes without pressure, and habits are forged in the fire of repeated effort. Habits are not just routines, they are spiritual statements. They reflect what you believe about your purpose, your worth, and your future. Lazy habits speak of low standards. Distracted habits reveal a lack of vision, but focused, intentional habits are the evidence of someone who understands they were made for more. You don't build a meaningful life by accident, you build it by design. And that design lives in your daily disciplines. What you tolerate in your habits, you invite into your future. If you allow yourself to slack off, to quit early, to ignore your commitments, you're setting the standard for how far you'll go. You can't expect excellence from a life trained in compromise. Your habits are your training ground. They're the reps you put in when no one is watching. And when life tests you, it's those reps that will determine your results. Change starts with a choice, but it is sustained by habits. Willpower fades, passion cools, but habits, once solidified, don't ask how you feel. They are automated disciplines that carry you through when emotions fluctuate. That's why mastering habits is more powerful than chasing feelings. The more you train your habits, the less you rely on fleeting inspiration. Environment shapes habits, and habits shape results. You can't build strong habits in a weak environment. If your space, your circle, and your schedule are all undisciplined, it will be almost impossible for you to live differently. You must protect your environment like your future depends on it, because it does. Structure your world to support your standards. Design your surroundings to remind you of who you're becoming. Consistency is more valuable than intensity. People get hyped to start, but hype burns out. Real transformation comes from showing up daily, especially when it's inconvenient. Those who build powerful lives don't wait for perfect conditions. They build powerful habits that outlast pressure, fatigue, and failure. It's not about being perfect every day. It's about never quitting no matter what. Habits are not fate. They are formed. And anything that can be formed can be reformed. If your current habits are leading you in the wrong direction, then you have the authority to change them. You are not a victim of your routines. You are the author of your behavior. The question is not whether change is possible. The question is whether you'll put in the work to make it permanent. Your breakthrough is not hiding in a motivational video, a new strategy, or some external solution. It's hiding in your daily disciplines. Your habits are either blocking the blessing or unlocking it. You're not waiting on life to change, you're waiting on you to change. And that shift starts with recognizing the authority you already have to build different patterns. Every great life you admire is built on habits you don't see. Behind the results are reps. Behind the success is structure. Behind the confidence is consistency. There are no shortcuts, only systems. And the only way to change the story of your life is to change the script you repeat every day. That script is your habits. And when you rewrite them, you rewrite everything. Habits are not about restriction. They are about direction. The right habits give you the freedom to live with clarity, energy, and impact. They clear the noise and amplify what matters. Without the right habits, life becomes reactive. With them, life becomes intentional. You stop chasing and start creating. You stop guessing and start building. Habits create the framework for everything you want to experience in life.